win in dominant fashion on national TV over the New York Knicks. I'm in my car. It is freezing out still, so we'll go 3, 4, 5 minutes until my car is heated up and we can drive home. But what an absolute butt whooping the Cavs put on the Knicks. 77 points in the first half. They win by 37 points. That is the biggest loss the Knicks have suffered since Tom Thibodeau had taken over as head coach. So the worst loss of the season by New York. It's the Cavs' 14th 20-point win this season. And another game where they had to play their starters at high levels for 20 minutes. Like not even the whole first half. They were up 77-50 at the break. The third quarter comes out, you think the Knicks will have some fight? No, not at all. The Cavs put them to bed early. Donovan Mitchell scored 17 in the second quarter. I mean, an absolute butt whooping. Another game where you hope the Cavs would come out and show why they're as legit contenders as we here in Cleveland believe, and they did exactly that for a national audience. Let me reiterate, it is the worst loss that the Knicks have suffered since Tom Thibodeau has taken over as head coach. There were some concerns. We saw what happened to Darius. We saw what happened to Jarrett. Uh, Afterwards, I can tell you that everyone associated with the Cavs, including Donovan Mitchell and Kenny Atkinson, both said that they think Jarrett is okay. The x-rays came back negative. Jarrett did not have any wrap on his right hand in the locker room as he was leaving the arena. He was carrying his bags in his left hand, but he had nothing in his right hand. I was walking behind him as he was leaving. Didn't get a chance to ask him how it felt, but he was moving it. He was waving with it. It didn't seem to be in any kind of extreme pain by any means. So the x-rays coming back negative are great. We'll see if it's anything serious, but he hurt it on a dunk in the first quarter. And we're going to wait and see for an official update. As far as Darius, Darius was not seen in the locker room. He was not heard from. The Cavs said he had left by the time that we had entered the locker room, which you could read into that however you want to read into it. It could mean absolutely nothing. It could mean there's something serious. I have no idea. But no real update on Darius other than Kenny Atkinson telling us afterwards that they checked and he was in constant communication with the Cavs training staff, and they all felt he was clear and good enough to play. So he stayed in the game, finished out what he could, and then they called off the Dogs in the fourth quarter. So no real update on Darius. I feel a lot better and more confident saying Jared is fine than I do Darius, but we will see. Big picture, the Cavs beat the crap out the Knicks, and it's just another reminder that in the Eastern Conference right now, the Cavs in Boston are 1-2 in some order on a tier of their own, and then there is a gigantic drop off to whoever's at 3, 4, and 5. I understand the Knicks didn't have Josh Hart tonight, and they didn't have Mitchell Robinson. I get that. And the Cavs, on the other hand, were at full strength for just the first or second time all season. So I understand not full strength versus full strength. But this is a Knicks team that had won 10 of their last 12 games and had been playing some really good basketball. And they look like a JV squad against this Cleveland Cavaliers roster. And more than anything else, and this is why I just think there's a gigantic gap between the Cavs, Boston, and then everyone else right now, is when you watch Cleveland, they get good looks every possession effortlessly. They don't really, there's almost rarely, maybe 10 possessions a game where they get a shot, and it's, that wasn't a great look, or that wasn't great offense. The process wasn't there to generate a good offensive look. But 97% of the time they're getting high shot quality. And the Knicks had to work so freaking hard tonight to generate decent looks. It's all isolation. It's all on Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. And if those two guys aren't creating individually, then they really don't have a ton. And I understand this was OG's first game back. Mikal Bridges had a decent stat line. I don't think he played poorly, but he's not necessarily a shot creator you want to go to time after time. And it was just a luxury for the Cavs to bring in Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter off the bench with your first substitutions. And Hunter, by the way, 4 for 4 from threes, got 11 threes now in 4 games with Cleveland. The way he can just effortlessly create his own look. Donovan talked about it afterwards. Like, teams pay so much attention to him and Evan that DeAndre is going to have all these one-on-one chances he didn't get in Atlanta. And if you're going to help off somebody to go double DeAndre because he has a size advantage on some sort of switch, then you're leaving a 40% three-point shooter wide open. It's it's a plethora of weapons in Kenny Atkinson's belt right now. And they keep scoring 120, 130, 140 points like we saw tonight. And it feels crazy, but it's not because everyone on this team can shoot. Everyone can score. They can create. Craig Porter Jr. had 13 points in the fourth quarter. Like, it wasn't bad enough you were getting your butts whooped. A guy named Craig came in and dropped 13 in 12 minutes. And Naquan Tomlin scored. Everyone scored that played tonight outside of Tristan Thompson was the only Cav who didn't score. So, all in all, another terrific performance from the Cavaliers. They beat the piss out the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks are in the same class. I think at full strength, the Knicks could give the Cavs some sort of issues from a defensive standpoint if they decide to lock in. And the playoffs are very different, but from an offensive standpoint, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle to create good looks. Oh, and last thing I want to mention, the DeAndre Hunter, Dean Wade, Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro lineup played about 4 minutes together tonight. And you want to talk about a defensive nightmare for opposing teams? Donovan was the fifth guy out there with them. It was Donovan, Isaac, DeAndre, Dean, and Evan. The size, the length, the versatility of that tandem, that grouping is incredible. And Donovan was asked, Chris Fedor asked him what his first impression of that lineup was, and his answer was pretty funny. He said, quote, it was pretty dope, end quote. And I agree. Like, that's a... I'll end with this. I'll end with this. Hold on, Captain Shadow. You don't have to watch the highlights because I spoiled the game? What'd you think you were getting an instant reaction stream? What'd you think? It's an instant reaction to the game. The game ended an hour and a half ago. You can go watch the highlights. Nothing I'm saying. I'm not giving you highlights. That's maybe the most ridiculous comment I've ever seen on a post-game stream. Unfollowed to a VOD. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Captain Shadow. I'm sorry. But when the Cavs, before they made the trade, they were bringing in off the bench George Niang and Karis LeVert as their first two guys off the bench. And now they're bringing in Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter, who are two of the three favorites for Sixth Man of the Year. Think about that. Think about that. You went for, and nothing against George and Karis. Good players. Great guys. But they're bringing in now two of the three favorites for Sixth Man of the Year as their first two guys off the bench. I mean, luxury is an understatement for Kenny Atkinson. I mentioned this earlier. I'll mention it again real quick. The Jared Allen, I think, is fine. Kenny said the x-rays were negative. He was in the locker room, nothing on his hand. He was leaving, nothing on his hand. Darius was not to be found anywhere. So you can read into that how you want. No real update on the Darius situation. We hope he's okay, but we have no idea. He left before he spoke to the media. He wasn't seen, wasn't heard from. The Cavs said he left before we were able to get in. So he may be fine. He may not be. We'll find out in the coming days. But they play Memphis on Sunday, so we'll know if Darius is healthy or not. I apologize if I spoiled anything, but that's going to wrap it up for this post-game show. Cavs win by 37 points, the biggest win of the worst loss of the season, excuse me, for the Knicks. And to Mr. King 562, does Darius need a helmet? Yeah. I think at this point he may. No one in the basketball association takes more hits to the head than Darius, but the dude's a bulldog. He'll bounce back, and we'll see you on Sunday when the Cavs take on the Memphis Grizzlies right here at Rocket Mortgage Arena. For now, though, I'll see y'all on Sunday. Peace.